I'll just stop here and ask actually if there's any questions at this point.
How many different types of bamboo are you currently working with?
Around 5. And actually, typically just the baton and the tally, they are the most common that we're using. That's partly because they're readily available and can be sourced really easily.
Thank you. And so if you found yourself in a position where you had a project and you needed a different type of bamboo than what is readily available, how would you move forward?
I think it would be key to first of all like to try to find out like whether you find these larger bamboos, and if it's in an area where they don't necessarily have the giant bamboo, what like taking an analysis of what they do have, and then you can actually see the structural integrity of a bamboo quite clearly. But I guess you'd need someone to possibly like identify and clarify whether that is suitable for building with if you don't have access to these ones that grow readily in Asia and in Indonesia.
Thank you.
Charlotte, Murad has a question, one of our students from Fora Bay College. He's asking what form of preservation is the most effective according to your experience?
So I've actually not used the more natural processes myself, so I can't really comment on that. And that's because I think that this would be done more at like a village scale. It's not actually done at an industrial scale. So I've been only basically ordering bamboo from workshops. So they actually process it with the borax chemical, which I think is one of the most currently known, like reliable methods.
I've seen on the internet people using a metal attachment system, a system connecting pieces. And had an experience with them, and are they a better solution or are they problematic?
I think as the building gets bigger, these become very useful for attaching like larger loads and multiple bamboos together. I've been focusing like more on the sort of smaller scale builds with a priority to make it more buildable and affordable. So these type of attachments do increase the cost and accessibility of the bamboos. So they have a purpose and a use, but I would say that they definitely have a cost as well. But then you can create maybe bigger spans, so maybe there's a saving there too. But yeah, even in a smaller scale, affordable building, it would be typical to use metal bolting and nail systems as well as the bamboo nails.
I also had a question regarding prefabrication with bamboo. So this is something that we're looking into for our concepts. And I know that you've explored developing modules that can be fabricated elsewhere and then assembled on site. Can you share a little bit about that?
I think prefabrication is really the way to go, because things are happening in a controlled environment. You're learning from, if you've done like a batch, maybe you can apply the lessons learned to the new batch. So there's a lot of like evolution that can happen in this type of construction. Yeah, I think bamboo lends itself to this. I also think it's important to bear in mind that because bamboo is not always perfectly straight, there has to be a bit of flexibility that comes with working with the material. And I think sometimes maybe perhaps prefabrication, there's an assumption that things are going to be millimeter perfect.
I'm also really interested in the Liddy bundles you talked about, especially because the concept of staggering the joints It's really great because you can essentially use uh, all sorts of inconsistencies of the material to its advantage. What
Mhm.
are some applications you have with Liddy bundles, except for just like more structural application? What else have you seen or have you worked on?
Well, the Liddy bundle is used in many ways actually. And one of them is that it's run maybe along the edge of a roof, and especially if you have any curvature, this is the go-to way to achieve curvature with bamboo. Um, over the cutting, which creates like a sort of perfect arch. The Liddy can, twist and turn in multiple directions. Um, I think it's a very interesting material and it's one that I've explored and used. I would, however, be wary of the fact that you do need a workshop where you can cut this bamboo on a machine. I would say you can make it by hand, but these very small long strips are very difficult and time consuming to make by hand, especially if you want to have them like 4 meters long. So I would recommend either if if that is a method that's going to be used to consider investment in uh, maybe finding a local workshop that can cut it or actually investing in the machinery needed for that to slice it in those very thin pieces.
I just have two questions, some of which have been covered, some have been asked partially by some of the people who spoke before me. Is it also possible to bend bamboo using a soaking method or moisture, something like that?
Yes, you can. You can bend it with heat, and I think that you can soften it in water. But there's definitely heat bending, which is done, but uh, it's a little bit of a tricky process to heat bend it, but it is possible. I think it's not done
And
as often because it's a more lengthy process.
because I was wondering really what the difference was, why you have these, is there a particular advantage of one method over the other?
Mm, I would say that the rub like slicing is very good if you want to make an arch. It keeps it's like a good way to achieve like an arch of many sizes. I think heat bending is more time consuming than the other method.
Okay, the second question I had is, and this is the same thing in relation to timber. Are there, because you're talking about like up to 30% of bamboo gets wasted in the production process. Is there any way to recover sort of like this bamboo? Because in timber, like to avoid this, you have what they call engineered timbered products. So it makes it in such a way that there's not as much wastage. And the
Mhm,
second part is, are there quote unquote engineered bamboo products, such as like
mhm.
in timber you have CLT, but is there a way to engineer bamboos to maybe add more strength if you have like large spans, or if you want to get rid of the imperfections or have derivative products? And if so, is it even worth it?
So there is engineered bamboo in existence. I haven't seen it applied on a architectural scale, only at like decorative and furniture. And that must be just because currently the production is only can only achieve those kind of strengths. I think there's absolutely potential that it could be manufactured for like architectural beams and columns. And as for the wastage, so this, although someone, this is if you're ordering like directly from maybe like a wild, you're getting it from the source. If you're buying it from a workshop, then they tend to like sort that for you, so you can actually, you pay a premium, but you'll get bamboo already sorted. Um, this bamboo probably doesn't go to waste because you'll use it in maybe more decorative or furnishings or some other way in the building. It will probably get used.
Have you ever combined bamboo with rammed earth or clay bricks for construction?
I've actually not done this, but it's very common to do this. The two materials go really well together because bamboo buildings tend to be open and breathable, and also like earth buildings need similar properties and qualities. And also you can actually insert the bamboo into an earth wall, and that can preserve the bamboo. So the two materials can actually work very well together.
And I remember, Charlotte, when we spoke before, you said that before you started working with bamboo, you actually had expertise in timber.
Yeah, sure. So I used to work with mass timber, engineered timber, actually on like a more of an office, large office buildings and residential, both as post and beam and as like wall build-ups, solid wall CLT build-ups. And actually we worked with Waterston Architects. I worked on prefabrication using that material. And again, that lended itself to being able to produce very precise buildings and speed up the construction process, which was very good for using timber because it kind of counteracted some of the costs, because timber is slightly more expensive than traditional construction, but the efficiency of the prefabrication and the speed of the building, and actually as an overall, the cost was very similar.
I'm asking with your current practice with bamboo, like what are you building? Are they houses or community structures or?
They tend to be like community-based buildings, so pavilions. We have a potential like housing scheme using this modularized design. I think this design can be developed to actually multiple applications. You know, sometimes when you need to address certain needs, then you forget about other needs that we have for living in environments that uplift our spirits as well as meet our basic needs for shelter. So I hope that this will evolve um, into a product that can be used.
And what has the response been like? Because we know that in Freetown, as I shared with you before, the perception of bamboo, there's a lot of association with poverty. But I mean, of course, in Indonesia, that is totally different. But what has the response?
Yeah, I think here it's very different. It's actually been established now as a luxury product, and it's actually quite expensive to access a building with bamboo. So there's many people interested in building temporary structures that don't necessarily damage the landscape. So there's quite a lot of interest in it actually, especially for this more temporary building.
About the perception of bamboo being here is like it's a poor man's stuff, and over there it's like luxury construction. So we have a lot to learn from that, I guess. Yes. Yeah. I said, any chance that we see pictures, photos of some of the stuff that you've done or you've been involved with bamboo? Is there anything that can be done to reduce that risk or protect it from fire?
First of all, the risk to, I suppose, humans, not the actual asset of the building, is low because actually a lot of bamboo buildings are like low rise, and therefore I think the people can escape easily from these buildings. And then you need to design carefully for any kitchen elements, any potential fires, to make sure that you like reduce those in that construction process.
Thank you.
Okay.
Charlotte, I'm really curious about this specific project.
Mhm.
Could you share a little bit about this? Is this the modular?
Yeah, this is the Teratai design. Actually, as you can see from this design, it kind of looks complicated, but it's actually a repetition of one thing, the loop, and then 3 loops become 1 module, and then there's 6 modules in this building. It's a very efficient way, very low cost, not much material for the area created.
And what was the design process like to develop this? Did you start with the scale models, or was this something generated using like a parametric software or something?
This design came out of physically holding and modeling with the material. A computer was not used until later. This is obviously drawn on a computer, but that actually was done afterwards. So we worked just directly with physically twisting and bending the material. And then the modeling actually came later because this is like a useful technique for, I suppose, like displaying the model in a different way.
Yeah. Charlotte, you mentioned something about hair. Is it bamboo hair? I'm not, maybe I got it wrong.
Yes. So actually,
And how is it made and how is it used or what is it used for? I might
I'm
have
glad you
missed it.
mentioned that actually, because it's palm hair and it's really beautiful. So the palm tree has this like husks, I guess, or it's really like hair. This is peeled off and then actually, I guess, woven into these strands. And the color of this is a dark brown color. And I actually it's very strong and actually has got a lot of grip. And this is the string that's used probably the most for like bamboo construction. However, just on a like aesthetic choice, often the fact that it's dark brown and different to the bamboo means that you really can see every time it's been used on the bamboo. So it's just a choice of whether you want to have that visual contrast. Another option is to use the grass string, which is more closely matched in like tone.
No, we really appreciate you joining us this late, and thank you so much.
Yes,
No, thank you for having
Thank
me.
very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank
Okay.
you.
Have a good evening.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.